Welcome to part 2 of this video all about meditation. We're going to be talking about how to start your own meditation practice with really practical tips on how to get started or to take your meditation to the next level. We're going to be talking about why meditation is important and why it can form a really beautiful foundation of your life and be a wonderful way to reduce anxiety and stress. And we're also going to be talking about some of the fears that come up when you meditate. So how to kind of cope with negative emotions or perceived negative emotions and feelings that may arise when you meditate and why that isn't a bad thing. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, check it out below. In part 1, we talk a lot about why meditation is not about stopping your thoughts, and actually it's just about observing them without judgment. And we also spoke a lot about how to get started and get comfortable and find the right position for you when you're meditating, as well as other things as well. So if you haven't seen part 1, check it out because it's a great introduction before you watch this second part. In terms of when to meditate, there's really no limitation that you can put on this. For me, I really like to find some meditation space in the morning if I can. I like to just start my day in that space because I find myself better able to cope with the world if I found that space in the morning and that quiet time. It's sacred, it's personal, it helps me to connect into who I truly am, which is a divine, undying essence of love, and finding that space is just really important to me in the morning. So I personally like to find some time in the morning, even if it's literally 1 or 2 minutes. Any time that you can find to meditate will help you and support you, and particularly as you're getting started, maybe it is just 1 or 2 minutes, but they are very, very important minutes and they are a gift to yourself. So I definitely say if you can find some time in the morning to meditate, please do, because it's really, really beneficial. That said, there's no right or wrong time to meditate. As much as you can do it, the better. So if you find that you're more naturally drawn to meditate before bed, or I personally find that another really I just find it's a magical part of the day is around probably around now about 7:30, 8 o'clock, just when kind of the sun is setting and the birds are singing, and generally human world is kind of quieter. People are just in their houses and they're not really outside making noise or doing things. So I tend to find that's another really magical time to meditate. And it's also towards the end of the day as you're starting to get ready for bed, if you're boring like me and you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. So it's also a really nice time to just reflect and be in that beauty of the evening with the birds singing and the sun setting. I just really love that time personally. But as with everything that I've mentioned, again, find the right time for you, try it. And also it's obviously completely okay. There's no rule book for you to change how many times you meditate, when you meditate, how you do it. If one day you want to meditate at 6 o'clock in the morning and another day you want to meditate before lunch, and maybe the next day after that you're going to meditate just before you go to bed, whatever, it will change that time that you're called and you feel that calling and that pull to just have that peace and that tranquility and have that magical space for yourself. You're going to feel pulled to it at different times, so just go with that. You don't have to rigidly stick to the same time every day. That's up to you. You can absolutely explore that. So I'd say definitely try different times and see what works for you depending on how you're feeling that day. Another big thing I think that happens with meditation is people try it once or twice and they don't necessarily get anything from it, inverted commas, which goes back to setting those expectations that I was mentioning before. You're not trying to get anything from it. But if you do it for a few times and you find yourself doing it religiously for 7 days and you feel great and it's awesome and it's a wonderful experience, and then things happen, life gets busy, life takes over, and then you can't meditate for a while, or you find that you're not making space for that meditation, don't feel guilty and feel like you can't return to that space. You can always return to that space. It doesn't matter if you've not meditated for 10 years. It doesn't matter if you've never meditated before. Just start, just get back into it. There's no judgment there. It's always there for you. That's the beauty of it. That space is always there. So never feel guilty like you can't return to it just because you've not done it for a while, or you're going to be out of practice or whatever. Find a way to make that space and to make that time, and you'll be glad that you did. Another big fear I think people have around meditation is that they try it once and all these weird things start coming up. and all these emotions come up and all these truths start coming up, and they think like, oh shit, like push that back down, like I don't want to go there again. And so I think that's another reason why people get put off by meditating. But actually, it's hard to kind of explain, but what you want to do is just let those things come up, observe them without judgment. And that's when it's hard, but it's so worth it if you can push through that. You can really find the magic, you know, the magic is behind there. You can realize that, hang on a minute, how can I be conscious and breathing and feeling these things and observing those things? Well, then I'm not those things. They're just noise. They're things happening around me and in front of me, but actually they don't affect me, my true essence of myself. And that's where that beautiful bliss space is. So as these uncomfortable emotions start coming up, which they probably will, you can, rather than just thinking, oh my God, open my eyes, run away, just think like, okay, like what's going on here? Why am I feeling this? And just kind of let it come up. Again, don't force it down, don't push it away, don't judge it, just see it, just observe it as if you're watching a film, as if you're watching that traffic. Just let it come up without judgment, because it will sort itself out. Let it float away from the nothingness from where it came, you know. They're gonna come up and they're gonna go away, just like the breath. They're just gonna keep circulating. So don't put any attention on it, don't put any judgment on it, just step back and observe it and come from that peaceful space. And that's what meditation is all about. It's finding that space and helping you realize that these things, they actually don't matter. It's just noise. It just is isness. It's not bad, it's not good. It's only given the importance and the status that we give it. You know, we like to categorize things as bad and good, but actually it's just stuff, like it's just nonsense. So in that meditative space, we can find a way to just sit back from that and just observe these things. Like we were saying before, just observing that traffic. You know, if you find you're feeling positive emotions, if you find you're feeling negative emotions, if your thoughts come up, you know, we're not going to push it down. We're not going to do anything to it. We're going to not mess with our minds, and we're just going to let it flow. And the more that you do that, the more that you can find this space when you're in life and you're interacting as a human being in this human world, you know, the more that you'll be able to access that space when you need it, by recognizing that you're not defined by these things. They don't define you. They are just a part of being a human being, but they're not who you are at your core. Emotions will arise, thoughts will arise, but that is okay. That's what we're there to learn. We're there to learn a coping mechanism with these human things that are gifts most of the time, but when we have these negative emotions, we want to run away from them, we want to not have them. But actually, if we can just find a way to step back from that and observe it and not worry about it, put no judgment on it, that's that magic space, that's the bliss state that we want to get to in a meditation. Another thing you can do when you're getting started is also use other tools to help you and support you as you're trying to like slowly release the idea of controlling your thoughts. One of the things that I found really useful when I was first starting out doing meditation is actually focusing on a candle flame. There's a really serene beauty to just watching a candle flame, or a log fire also works if you have something like that. But just focusing on a candle flame can really just help your mind drift into that peaceful space that meditation offers, without feeling like you have to sit with your eyes closed, you know, completely separate from something. Another thing that I personally find is absolutely a wonderful space to meditate in is in nature. So I absolutely love being in nature, and this is one of the great ways that you can get started with a meditation if you can, is just sitting in your meditation pose, in your seated pose outdoors, and you can just focus on the sound of the birds. You can focus on how the sunlight feels on your face. You can focus on the breeze that you feel, and you can really just slip into a really peaceful, beautiful space. So if you can meditate in nature, I would highly recommend that you try that, particularly as you're starting out, because again, that kind of background noise of the birds singing and the trees rustling in the wind, you know, can really help you to find that space much more easily. So nature is a great tool to help you and support you as you're getting started with meditation. you are untouchable, your essence is just divine love, and all this other stuff is just noise around you. And that's really what meditation is about. It's just recognizing that you are a powerful being of light, of greatness, of love, and finding that presence and that space is the beauty of doing a meditation. So hopefully that is just a few tips and ideas on how you can get started with meditation or help take your meditative practice up to the next level if you're struggling on, trying to quieten your mind and things, or getting into the right position. Just as with anything, meditation is about practice. So just get started in any way that you can. I highly recommend it to anyone. I know that it can be off-putting in this day and age when meditation is like bandied around as some kind of like buzzword that you think is just for like hippies or whatever, which it is. But really, genuinely, meditation is a really fantastic coping mechanism. It helps you reduce stress, it can help you reduce your anxiety, and it just really gets you into a wonderful, positive space. For me, it is absolutely paramount to my well-being. I can't imagine having a spiritual practice or even just being a human interacting with the world without having that sacred space for myself, because it helps me and it reminds me that I can cope with this. Whatever's happening, it reminds me that I am okay, it's going to be fine. And that's one of the great positive things about meditation. And so just get started in any way that you can, and I hope the tips that I've given you will be useful. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I will see you soon.